We finally did it. After 32 episodes, over 3 years, and over 200 pages, I've officially completed my Create This book by me and Moriah Elizabeth. Today, I'm going to be doing a completed flip through of my entire Create This book and every single prompt that I have done. Before I do, be sure to like and subscribe. This was a labor of love. I did every single prompt in order. That way we can really see the progress that I made, especially since it took so long to finish. Before I flip through it, like and subscribe, and let's see what I created in this book. First up, we have the cover, which was definitely heavily inspired by the other Create This book that I made. It's got the stars and the moon. It's kind of like a celestial theme. I especially love the sparkles I added on the top. But now it's time to go into the book. Let's look at the first prompt. The first thing I made in the book was this create page with these little celestial moons. I especially love the sparkles on this page. Like the reflection in that is crazy. Love that gel pen. Now it's time to keep going. We've got the tips and the tricks. And we have the beginning of the Create This book. I started this all the way back in November of 2022. That's crazy. It almost took me 4 years to complete this book. Next was to create a fancy name. For this prompt, you were supposed to write your name on the page in a fancy way. So I wrote my name using Posca pens and some highlights and just did some cutesy bubble letters. The next prompt is to create a rule. So for this one, I wanted to just make a rule that I was going to do my very best on every single page and make something that I was proud of, which I don't know that I did my best on every single page, but I definitely tried really hard and I'm still really proud of it. The next prompt was to choose one color. I obviously chose blue and I tried to only use that color. I used a whole bunch of different things like markers and colored pencils. I remember being really happy with this page at the time. Looking back, like I can definitely see improvement, but I think that's going to be a really cool thing about this book. That's why I did all of the pages in order. Next was to create the following lists: things you like and things you dislike. For the things that I like page, I had food themed things. Hot dogs, strawberries, eggs, all of that is still true. Then it was things that you dislike on this page, and I put blueberries, peas, and tomatoes. I actually like tomatoes now, and I am indifferent towards blueberries, but I do not like peas. So that's still true. The next prompt was to create a music-inspired page, and this was around December of 2022, so I chose the song Baby It's Cold Outside and just made a whole bunch of different snowflake patterns and put glitter in there as well. I think this page is cute with all the different snowflakes. The next prompt was to create a page of garbage, and you were supposed to actually put trash in this book, but I did not want to do that. So instead, I did a more creative approach and did Oscar the Grouch because he lives in a trash can. So I thought that would be a cute little take on this page. For the next prompt, it was to create a pet. This one is still one of my favorites. This one pops into mind a lot. I created Steve the goldfish and just did this little cute goldfish in a bowl. This one was a fun prompt. It was just kind of wild and cute. The next one was pretty simple. It's to create a page of polka dots. So I just used a whole bunch of markers to make different colored dots on this page, kind of in a rainbow order. Very simple. Next was to create a recorded conversation. I got creative with this one also. I didn't really want to record a real conversation in this book, so instead I just did these little phones as if someone was calling each other or making calls, and I felt like that was a really cute take on the prompt, and I love the vintage feel on this page. This was back when I still had like my first original Ohuhu markers. Like, that's crazy because now I have like a million. Here was the next prompt, I believe, which was actually this one, which was to create folds and fold this page any way you want. So for this one, I just made a little tiny paper airplane, and it lives here now. but this prompt was to create an array of media. So I was supposed to draw one object over and over, but using different art mediums. So for this one, I think this is actually like a really cute and like cool inspired page. We've got all the different art supplies, and then I actually drew out these pencils using those art supplies. So I felt like that was a cool way to do that prompt. Let's put this little paper airplane back in there so he stays where he's supposed to. The next prompt was to create letters. So I put a K for my first name and then a B for my husband's first name, Kara and Ben. So this page is just simple but really cutesy. Next up, we have create a meal. Oh, Chick-fil-A. A little Chick-fil-A meal is what I made here. We've got my go-to meal for this. We've got our French fries, waffle fries, of course. We've got the chicken nuggets and an Oreo shake. Classic. Next up was to create simplistic drawings. I would definitely describe these drawings as very simplistic. Yeah, not much to say about that. The next prompt was to create a family. So I drew my family here. We've got me and my husband and our cats. This is like a super simple, cute drawing. It's so crazy to see what kind of things I was creating so many years ago now and how much I've improved since then. I'd like to think it's been quite a bit of improvement, but it's fun to look back on. The next prompt was to create a border. And again, this was around Christmas time. So we've got some Christmassy themed borders here. We've got little gingerbread men, little Christmas trees, snowflakes, stars, stripes, and just bubbles. It's crazy to look back on all these and try to remember the thoughts that were going on, but so far things seem pretty straightforward. The next prompt was to create an unusual combo. So I made paint palette toast. So it's basically just toast, but with paint on it that is actually like just different toast toppings. So we've got the strawberry jelly, grape jelly, peanut butter, and then I assume this is like Cool Whip or something. I don't know. What else would you put on your toast? Like fluff maybe? So that's kind of funny. I don't really remember what that was, but this is a cute little fun page. The next one was this, which was to create a record of your week, but somewhere in the book you got to choose to cancel a prompt, and this is the one I chose to cancel because it's not very art related. I could have been creative and done something, but I didn't want to, so instead I just threw that X on there and decided to make that one void. The next prompt was to create quick sketches. I bet that was a lot of fun. It says draw something in 1 minute or less. I don't remember if I did different time allotments for each one, but just had little sketches on this page. The next prompt is to create a growth chart. I also remember this page. This is super cute. It's got just simple colors, but then it has a growing plant and kind of in its stages and phases. So I felt like that was really cute. And I also wrote, growth is a process. That's true. So here it is. This one's pretty cute and simple also. The next prompt was to create a collection. This was really fun and challenging. I took the same cityscape and then drew it in like a sunset versus like a nighttime. And I felt like that was really cute. And I feel like it's so cool to see the same drawing, but just in different color schemes. I really like how that one turned out. The next prompt was, well, this must have been where I tore out the void page maybe, or maybe my paper airplane. I'm not really sure. Something's missing here. But this is to create a bumpy page. So I was supposed to lay this page over a textured or bumpy surface and try to write and draw. I really only had success here. I don't at all remember what I laid that on top of, but you can see the texture a little bit. I feel like that's a really cool prompt, and I should come back to that at some point because that's fun. Next was to create a page of stripes. That gold line, anything that has gold in it, I'm immediately sold. So pretty straightforward this page, just stripes, but I do love these colors right here. That's fun. The next page was to create a signature. So it turns out that I liked the first signature I did the best, because it says to star the one you think is the best. So I tried to do a whole bunch of different signatures of my name, and I still just ended up liking the first one the best. But that was pretty fun. I think practicing a signature is always fun. Next was to create art with wax. So I used crayons to try and draw things out, but everybody knows crayons are notoriously horrible. So yeah, that's what this page turned out. This is also a wax stamp that I threw in there just for, you know, extra wax effect. The next prompt was to create a pocket. Supposed to apply glue inside the dotted lines on page 57. Okay, let's see what we did there. Oh, wait, I'm so confused. Oh no, they're glued together or... Oh no, wait, I understand. This whole thing is the pocket. Okay, what's hiding in this pocket? I have literally no recollection of what is hiding in here. We will have to discover it together. If I can even get it out. There's this. It says smile. That's cute. You got this. Is that it? Is that all that's in there? Is that it? I mean, that's literally all that's in there. Well, that was pretty anticlimactic, I feel. That's funny. Okay, well, that's what's in there. Then it was time to create an ink blot. This one was fun. I feel like it has like very parroty colors in it. I do like the red, yellow, and blue in there. I don't know. It's pretty simple. I just put paint in between and then went like this. And then that's what happened. And that's pretty fun. The next prompt was to create a page for stickers. So I used a whole bunch of my own fall sticker designs. And it turned out really cute. I love all the orange colors. Fall is one of my favorite seasons, so that's a really cute page. The next prompt was to create your own directions and make your own prompt. So for this one, I created a drawing using only one art material, and I kind of did a little versus. We have Ohuhu versus Posca. A lot of you guys voted for Ohuhu. Comment down below if you're still that team or you think Posca is better. I think they're so different, but I definitely think this one was better for this drawing. Next up was the prompt to create a secret. Write a secret here and cover it up somehow. So I made a treasure chest and then filled it, I believe, with a whole bunch of tiny little like gems and such. What is this? I feel like this is just a blank piece of paper. Like why is that in there? What is this? I don't think I'm gonna put that back in there, but I feel like maybe it has a purpose. I don't know. I think it was supposed to be like holding all of the gems so you could kind of see them, but there's like just little gems and things in here. We've got diamonds and coins that the chest is hiding. So that's our secret is these coins and gems, and then this random piece of paper, which I'm putting back in there. It felt important, so she'll live there forever. The next prompt was to create obscure shapes. This one was fun. It's actually kind of hard to not create shapes, so this one was challenging. I remember to keep them blob-like. Even this one, it's like you want to make an oval and you're like, that's a shape. So try to change it to a blob instead. Next up was to create boredom and make this page boring. I personally think math is extremely boring, so I just filled this page with some equations. Next up was to create doodles. I loved this page. This is basically what all of my schoolwork would look like in school. It was just using a pencil and creating a whole bunch of random lines and doodles until the whole page was filled. So this was kind of nostalgic and fun for me. The next prompt was to create a fantasy home. So for that page, I decided to design a home in Hobbiton and drew a little hobbit house. I used Posca pens for this one. I was really still learning what to use in this book at that point. It's crazy because I still, like, at this point, I'm looking through all these and I'm like, oh, I feel like I could do this so much better. But that's good because growth is awesome. And if you ever look back on art and don't feel that way, then I feel like, you know, you're not growing. I still appreciate it for what it is, but it's fun to look back and see some improvement. The next prompt was to create a page of quotes. So for this one, I did see the good, refuse to sink, which is like my favorite quote, and then mindset is everything. So these are cute, just little doodles. The next prompt was to create a fabric page. I remember spending so much time on this, trying to make it look like silky. I feel like the highlights need to be bolder, but I really like the effect of this one. The next page was to create an alien. It was really hard to come up with an original alien design. These look like bundt cakes or something. These look like little dots, like the candy. I don't know. They look funny, but they're kind of scary, kind of cute. Next was to create a challenge and fill in this page without using your hands in any way. I have no idea what I used to draw this, but it certainly was not my hands. That's insane. I'm assuming, like, I feel like I used my mouth or something. I don't know, that sounds weird, but that's kind of what I feel like I did. I'm not sure. The next prompt was to create a list of fads. This is another one that is still one of my favorites. I think it's so cute, mostly because of the color palette. Like, I love the muted pinks and colors. This is really cute. I think this is one of my favorites because I also used Ohuhu markers, and you know that is my favorite art supplies. So I really like this page. It was also fun because now I have like this recorded list of the trends that were going on at this time. So it's fun to look back and see that. I just think it's a cool little, almost like history piece. Next was to create embarrassment. So I draw some emojis that I put in my text when I did something embarrassing. So we've got this little emoji that's blushing and shocked. We've got this one that's like cringing, you know. That's cute. I loved the little emoji pages that I did. I feel like those ones always turned out really cute. Next was to create a page of checkers. And that's exactly what we have here. We have a page of colorful, wavy checkers. Next was to create a shared drawing. I love this one too because it was me and my husband doing it together. So I drew this side of the page and used colors, and he did this side and just used pencils. So this one is so cool. I love that it's like one drawing, but that we split in half and each got to do. It looks so cool and I loved it. Next was to create plans for a building, and I am no architect, so yeah, I kind of skimped on this page. I feel like we've just got a quick little doodle of the world's tallest building, and that's that. Next was to create color combinations. So I used my Ohuhu markers and put random colors together that I felt would go together or just wanted to see paired together. And that was actually really fun. And then I gave them cute little names. So this one's Warm Spring. We've got Parrot. We've got Desert Sun. We have Ocean Floor and Mushroom Forest. So I feel like those were really cute and fun, especially giving them names afterwards. That was a cute prompt. The next one was to create a progression. So it says draw something simple and add to it and keep adding until you can no longer distinguish the original drawing. And I cannot. I assume I started with a line of some sort. I have no idea, but I came up with this flowers drawing with this little worm in the corner, which is pretty cute. I like this page, especially because it has gold highlights. The next prompt was to create nostalgia. So I drew this picture of Barbie Rapunzel. That is like still to this day one of my favorite movies. It's so cute and it's art related. So of course I had to put it into the book. The next prompt was to create an advertisement. It was spring, I assume, at this point when I was creating, and I had just come up with a whole bunch of new sticker designs. So I decided to make an advertisement for my stickers. The next prompt was to create instructions. I also really like this page. It's really simple, but I just like the layout of it. Like I like the sponge and the sparkles, and I like this font. I just feel like it's cute. And it's just, I don't know, it makes something really mundane kind of fun and cutesy. So that was a fun page. The next one was to create nonsensical creatures. So I just created a whole bunch of fruits and plants with crazy personalities. We've got a strawberry that has a bite out of it. We've got this pineapple with this crazy expression. We've got a watermelon with a mustache. And we've got a whole bunch of other characters over here. We've got some angry and happy grapes, and same with the cherries and a banana. This one's just a little wacky, but really fun. The next prompt was to create your favorites and make this page your favorite. So for this one, I just did a few of my favorite things at the time. It's pretty simple, but it's cute. Next was to create your least favorite. So I did the same thing, but it was really hard to come up with least favorites. I feel like I could probably come up with more now, but at the time, this is what I came up with. The next prompt was to create a page of emotion, and I did these emojis, which again is really cute. I remember doing a few emojis pages, and they always turned out to be some of my favorites. I just love the colors and the shading and all of the fun pops. It's just like very visually eye-catching to me. I like the emoji pages. Next is to create, it's on this page. It was to create stencils. So I used this to cut out different shapes, and then I used it to make little stencils all over. So that was the prompt, was to make this a stencil page, and I did butterflies and hearts. Super simple. The next prompt was to create a pair and draw a set of twins. So I drew two different shakes. We have a cherry shake over here, and then we have a cookie shake over here. I remember making these two. Those are pretty cute. The next prompt was to create straight lines. So I drew out different boxes and then just tried to make different patterns and designs only using straight lines, which was actually pretty cool because it's fun to see what you can create only using lines and no rounded shapes. So this was a really fun creative page. The next one was to create weather-based decor, and I was creating this in March of 2023. So I did some little Easter designs and spring-themed decorations on this page. The next one was to create a drawing variation. So I drew Ariel, and I did it in different art styles. This one was really cool too. It's one of my favorites. We have the Disney page here. We've got the realism side, then we had the cartoon, and then we had the comic. And I actually feel like when you divide it up like that, you can really see all the different art styles shining through. This page was really cool. The next prompt was to create a person. It looks like I drew a fairy, and I wanted to draw a fairy character, and then I named her Italia, and I kind of put some descriptions of her. And I said, they're kind and gentle. She stands for what's good. Her cat can fly, but otherwise is just a cat. So true. She likes nature and flowers, hates rainy days and evil. And her cat's name is Avocado. Slay. Love that. Love that for her. So I did a little fairy. It's pretty cute. Cute little drawing. Next up was to create smudges. So for this one, I just added in a whole bunch of paint and just kind of used my fingers to smear it around. I especially love this iridescent paint here. That's pretty. The next prompt was to create an interview. So I asked my husband some questions and he answered, and then he asked me some questions and I answered. Apparently my least favorite mammal is a platypus. And my favorite season is spring, ? I don't know about that. I can see it. I'm not sure. I love every season for different reasons. So that was fun to do little quiz questions for each other. The next prompt was to create an outfit. I also really like this page. It's this cute little sundress. I love that I added a little hanger for it. Then we've got the hat and the shoes to match, and I like the texture on these ones a lot. Those are cute. The next prompt was to create a switch. Supposed to come up with a drawing and then switch it halfway through, and instead I did something a little bit different. I did a switch, like literally, and then I did rainbow, and then halfway through the rainbow I decided to switch it to kind of a crazy design instead. So did something a little bit different for this page, but it's pretty fun, and I like the rainbow coming out of the switch. Really cute. This next page is another one of my favorites. We were playing Mario 3D World at the time, and we never beat it. Okay, if you've done that, you're amazing. You should get a trophy because it's impossible. But I created this page with a whole bunch of different Mario characters, and I made some of them like 3D on the page by adding like a piece of paper scrunched up like an accordion in the back. So it's really cool that some of them pop off of the page. I think this one is just like so cute and fun and really reminds me of that time. So that was fun. Next up, we have create a symbol, and I felt like we needed a symbol for the soul. Like we have a brain, heart, like, you know, heart, mind, soul kind of thing. So I created these little magical looking orbs, and they would be different colors based on what kind of soul you had. I feel like that would be a cute symbol. The next prompt was to create without thinking. So I didn't put a lot of thought into this. I just created blobs and then drew flowers on top of the blobs, and it was really relaxing and fun. The next prompt was to create a color, like a number color. It was a paint by number. So I basically drew out a picture that I'd already made before, and then I assigned different colors to it, and my husband colored it in to see if it like actually worked. And that was really fun and cute. So I drew out this picture and then had my husband colored in according to the colors that I assigned it. So that was cute. The next one was to create a collage. So I drew out a whole bunch of different types of fruit and put them in this book. I love the colors. I love the details. This one's pretty simple, but I do think it's really cute. And I love drawing fruit. There's some things you'll see over and over again. Fruit, matcha, and emojis pretty much. This next prompt was to create a flaw. So I drew a broken mirror, which I actually think was really cool and a fun way to take the prompt. I also think it's just really like, I like the little details that I took the time to add and put in little textures. Sometimes because I really wanted to make this book, I would zoom through too many prompts. So it's always nice to see when that I slowed down and took some time and really put a lot of detail into it. The next one was to create an adventure. So I was supposed to go for a walk outside and document my adventure, but I'm not sure. I think I just drew outdoorsy things, and things that I had been seeing around. So obviously when you go on a little walk outside, you see some nature things, you see houses, dogs, bunnies, just kind of did some things that you would see outside. The next prompt was to create a page of notes. And I made this composition notebook, and I thought this was so cool. So I drew out the notebook, made a little composition, and then put stickers onto it as if I had decorated the composition notebook. And I even did the back too. I just feel like this is so cute and like such a cute idea. I love that I came up with this one. And then on the inside, I just put some autumn habits. So I did a jack-o'-lantern, sweaters, fall leaves, candy corn, monsters, scary movies, cozy socks, and fall drinks. And this is one of my favorites, like ever. So I love this one, and I love this little composition notebook. This one felt like my brain was working with me that day. So really like that one. The next prompt was to create a profession. So I was supposed to come up with a ridiculous job that doesn't exist and write about it or draw pictures. And my job was a pumpkin de-seeder. So someone who's hired specifically for the role of taking the seeds out of pumpkins, because a lot of people like to carve pumpkins, but they don't like the whole part of it. So for this one, I made it actually removable, so you can take off the top, and you can even go ahead and remove the seeds from the inside and all of the guts that are in the pumpkin too. So this page is just really fun and cute. I like that it's like interactive like that. I feel like that was a really cool and fun prompt. And it was like a ridiculous job, but that's what I was supposed to do. So it's pretty funny. Then the next prompt was to create a test. So I was supposed to test my right hand versus my left hand. So for this one, I drew a pumpkin, and this is my right hand doodle pumpkin. And I tried to keep it super simple because I knew my left hand was not going to do as good of a job. So I drew a quick little pumpkin doodle. And then for my left hand, drew another little pumpkin. I actually feel like, all things considered, it's not that bad, but I still wouldn't be able to draw anything more complex with my left hand, that's for sure. The next prompt was to create a playlist. If you couldn't tell by now, this was obviously during fall, and I just created these stickers of these monster girls, so I thought it'd be really fun to go ahead and make like little cover albums almost of different monsters for like a song track or like a playlist. So I went ahead and did little vampire, pumpkin, ghost, another pumpkin, and Frankenstein, and put them into the book almost like they had their own album covers. For the next prompt, it was to create a contradiction. So I made iced hot chocolate, which I've heard does actually exist. I feel like it can't be existing. You know, like I get like the concept of adding ice to hot chocolate, but I just feel like that defeats the whole point. So it was kind of fun to draw this one because I do feel like it's a contradiction. Then the next prompt was to create a contour drawing. So I was supposed to draw something without lifting up my pencil, which actually was really hard. So I used a Posca marker and tried to draw pumpkin shapes without ever lifting it up, except in between pumpkins, of course. So that was a fun one and a challenging one. I don't know how people do that art where they don't pick up their pencil as they're doing it. Next was to create patterns, and since it was fall, I made a spooky patterned page with monsters and things that represent Frankenstein and skeletons and all that. And then I made a page that was more of a cozy fall vibe instead, with some Toy Story-like clouds and little orange colors and candy corn, which is very fall. So I like this page. This is cute little fall patterns. The next prompt was to create a dialogue, and this was my dialogue. I drew up a little idea for my little comic here, my little dialogue moment, and it says, "I'm Mushroom Ghost," and then this says, "Howdy, I'm Noodle." And this is Noodle, the cowboy ghost. So we have the actual final design here with Noodle, the cowboy ghost, in a little pink star hat, and we have Mushroom Ghost here. And I actually made these into clay, which was really fun. I have Noodle, the cowboy ghost here, except he's missing a gold star. We should change that at some point. We need to add that in. But anyway, this is what I drew for my dialogue page. Really random, just ghosts having a conversation. Then it was to create an empty setting. So I draw a mountain landscape with nobody behind it, and I drew a picture that was kind of small. So then I went ahead and just filled the background with some like distant mountains and just a super simple sunset mountain page using Ohuhu markers. Next was to create an arrangement of doodles. So I took doodles that I actually had just floating about and needing a place to live, and I just put them into the book so that my doodles would have a place where they could actually live in. The next prompt was to create a color dispute and draw a picture using all of the wrong colors. I definitely feel like I used all of the wrong colors for this drawing. It doesn't really make any sense. I feel like she's an alien of some sort, but the green eyes, purple hair, blue lips, it's all wrong. It's all crazy. So it definitely looks like a color dispute. The next page was to create a dedication and dedicate this page to something. And I thought it'd be really fun to dedicate it to my YouTube and some of the things that I've made here, because it's really awesome to be able to create these things. So I went ahead and just used stickers that represented different things. Like these are from the Create This book. This is from a video that went viral. These are from Pantone postcards. These are just my favorite art supplies ever. The Ohuhu markers, the lava lamp on my coloring book, and the heart balloon that I painted. Just fun things like that just represented my art and my YouTube page. The next prompt was to create something educational, and I could think of nothing more educational than a cell. So I went ahead and drew a little diagram of a cell. That's it. That's what that looks like, in case you were curious. Next was to create a physical collection of specific objects. So I went ahead and drew out a page full of different colored buttons. This one was really challenging. It took a lot of time to make these buttons that really don't even look that realistic, but you can still tell what they are, and it was really fun. And then I also drew some feathers also, so I was collecting buttons and feathers for this one. The next page was to create a page for your favorite character. And I thought about when I was a kid, I used to love watching Blue's Clues, so I went ahead and did blue and magenta on this page and just made them on each page individually, but they're cute. We've got the little pink dog and the little blue dog. Next was to create a page from the past. So I took these doodles that I made in the past. These ones were made in 2020. So that's insane. That's pretty crazy. So 6 years ago now, but they needed a place to live. So I went ahead and put them in the book. I love this one with the sparkles on it. Like, look at the tail and look at the scales. That's pretty fun. And then we have this girl blowing bubbles too. The next prompt was to create unlikely art. I was inspired by a clay shoe that I glazed, and I made it into a little dessert shoe. I went to this place where you can paint your own pottery, and I picked out a heel and then I painted it like a dessert. So I felt like it'd be cool to do that since it is unlikely that you would have an edible dessert shoe. The next page was to create chaos and find a way to make this page appear chaotic. So my thought was to confuse the page by adding in a whole bunch of different prompts all onto one page to make it look like you didn't know what you were supposed to be doing. So I feel like that page came out cool and it was simple, but it was effective. It is kind of confusing to look at. The next page was to create cuts through layers. So I just used some of my stickers and then layered a whole bunch of different spring pastel pieces of paper on there. The next page was to create a combo. This one is so cute. This is another favorite one of my drawings that I did. It is a pumpkin witch and human all at the same time. So we've got quite a combo here. This was also done in the fall. I love the colors on this one, and I love the spooky, cozy vibe. It is just so cute. The next page was to create a wall, pretend it's a wall, and then add graffiti to it. So I did some Halloween spooky graffiti all over this page, and I love the style of that. That is so fun, and it does look like a graffiti page, so I love this one. We've got the little spooky elements. This looks like a haunter from Pokemon. Then we've got the bat and the ghost and the little heart potion and a snake. It's just really fun, and I like the little like comic-y pow backgrounds that I was doing there. The next prompt was to create timed decoration and use a timer to decorate this page in exactly 10 minutes. So I used 10 minutes exactly to create this drawing, and I even left the little sketches behind it and everything. I think this came out pretty cool. It was inspired by a drawing I found on Pinterest, but I think it turned out pretty cute. The next page was to create an unusual superpower. So I thought a cool superpower would be able to customize your avatar. So imagine that you're just like able to do your makeup, hair, outfit, whatever. Basically like you're playing a dress-up game, but in real life on your own person at any time. I thought that would be a unique and unusual superpower, which I guess you could just do like in real life, but I feel like it'd be cooler to have it be a superpower. So I divided the page into 4 sections and created different design elements of styles that this person could be because they have this superpower. So that was a fun page. The next one was to create textures. For this page, I filled it with a whole bunch of different types of hair textures and just kept it simple. For the next prompt, it was to create ugliness and make this page ugly, and I hate spiders, so I definitely think that this page is really ugly. I can barely look at it. It gives me the creeps. I don't like spiders at all, so that's ugly to me. Yeah. The next prompt, much cuter, was to create a page for a pet. So I drew my 2 pets at the time, Cheerio and Frosty. I since now have a dog as well named Lycan, but here were my pets at the time, and I couldn't just choose one. I had to put them both on there because they're so different and so cute. And even though they wouldn't know they were here, I didn't want them to feel left out. The next page was to create an applied suggestion, and I asked my husband what I should draw, and he told me to draw a flower dragon. So I went ahead and drew this dragon and made it look like a flower and added leaves and flowers all around it and petals and tried to make it look kind of springy and light and pink and added little flower details also. This one's pretty cute. The next prompt was to create something out of nothing. So I drew random scribbles all over this page and then figured out what I could see inside of those scribbles and colored them in with highlighters. And this was a chaotic and fun project. I feel like that has to be good for your brain. The next prompt was to create a receipt. So I did not really follow the prompt of recording everything you buy for a chosen period, but I did think it'd be fun to create a fake receipt for a little Build-A-Bear bunny. So I even included its little dress and shoes and a little matcha bunny on there. This page was really creative and cute. The next page was to create a nature page, and I was supposed to make it into a nature page by adding any elements of nature that I thought necessary. So I did the 4 seasons using Ohuhu markers and created different landscapes using those, and it was really challenging. I've never done Ohuhu landscapes before, or not very often, so it was really challenging to create spring, summer, fall, and winter only using Ohuhu markers, but it turned out really cute. The next prompt was to create a different drawing and draw something that I've never drawn before. And I've drawn Pokemon before, but I've never drawn these 2 Pokemon. So I went ahead and drew out some Mews and an Alcremie Pokemon just because I think they're so cute. The next prompt was to create a food page. For this one, I drew a page full of colorful breakfast foods. We've got our pancakes with our strawberries, croissant, matcha, and an egg, of course. So this was a fun page. I loved the colors. I tried to do something a bit different and use a whole bunch of colors to highlight the art and make it a little more magical feeling. The next prompt was to create a colorless page, so it was almost completely the opposite of the page that I had done before. I wanted to add a whole bunch of color to it and make it how I did the other one, but that would have defeated the point. So I did not add color to this page and left it all black and white, except for some brown that I snuck into this Dalmatian's eye, but don't tell anyone, okay? The next page was to create a window, so I made this stained glass window, and then I cut out this page and made the scene that you could see outside of the window and did a spring flower day. So here's how this one turned out. We've got the window and then we've got the background. The next page was to create an upside down page, and at this time, the last season of Stranger Things had just come out in the last 4 episodes or whatever, so I decided to go ahead and draw Max from Stranger Things since she's my favorite character, and I think this page turned out really fun, and it was a fun way to take on the prompt because I really didn't want to draw something literally upside down. For this one, it was to create blind artwork. So I closed my eyes, had my husband verify that I was closing my eyes, and drew these. And I was so impressed. There's not much to be impressed about, but like I couldn't see when I did that. So I was pretty impressed with that page. The next prompt was to create a scrapbook page, and I did this one with my husband, so this was super fun. We decided to do things that fill our cups. I didn't want to fill it with pictures and all of that like a scrapbook, but I did want to make it kind of a scrappy page. So we took different pieces of paper and made circles and our favorite drinks. I did a matcha and he did an orange dream drink. And then we did things that fill our cup. So I had some of these things in here and he put his straws in his cup of things that represent the things that make us happy at that moment. So that was a really fun, cute prompt. The next one was to create contrast. So for this page, I went ahead and created these little cute opposites. We've got Umbreon and Espeon, and I put them on the page to contrast each other. The next prompt is to create an assessment, and I decided to dedicate it to making matcha, and I kind of made this little comic strip filled with the ingredients to make matcha and how I do it because it's something that I do every single day. The next prompt was to create scenery. For this one, I drew another Pokemon. I did Sylveon and put them in this cute little Pokemon scene where there's little blossoms flying through the air and they look like they're in the wind by a peaceful little stream. I just made a really peaceful picture. Then for the final prompt, I created an ending and I did this celestial themed page. We've got the highlights with this gel pen and we have all of the sparkles. And I did this page this way because I wanted it to mirror that very first page that I did with these sparkles and highlights and the celestial theme. So I mirrored that page all the way to the back of the book. That way the front and the back would kind of go together. So that's what inspired this prompt. You just watched me show you over 100 prompts that I created in the Create This Book by Moriah Elizabeth. This was so fun to flip through and look back over all of the art that I've made over the last 3 years and how much I've improved. Comment below what your favorite prompt was from this entire book. And if you're still watching, comment this emoji because you're a real one and I want to know. Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!